Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Temple of Hephaestus. Woohoo! I would like to introduce Okay, before I do that, if we crash, because sometimes the deities come in so hard that they crash our system, stay where you are. We'll come back, we promise. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the votary of this temple as well, Nicodemus Shadow Sky, and let him introduce those who are here tonight.
So we have Sean, also known as Kestrel, Daryl Delph, my teacher, and then we have Bill, who is our current vessel.
Yay, welcome everybody. So happy to have you here. All right, so as always, we're going to start off with some fun questions. So how many projects did you start when you were holding Hephaestus? Yes.
Number-wise, I had 8 projects that I started when I found out I was Hephaestus.
So before Hephaestus.
Well, before I was Hephaestus?
No. I was just commenting on it. Go ahead.
I had 8 projects started like a week after I found out I was going to be holding Hephaestus for Symph. One of them was I built my forge.
There you go. Let's see. Daryl, do you have anything to add about how many projects you had?
Well, the first thing the priesthood gave me was a Lego set. So I built the James Bond car from the classic movies. That was fun. And then I proceeded to build a throne, some round shields, a bunch of, 250 some odd rune staves, about 16 dozen rune sets. Because before Spring Mysteries came along, we had a Norse sickle. And I'm Hephaestus. I have a 1,200 square foot wood shop. Guess where I'm going to be. So, yeah. A lot.
Thank you, Daryl. Nico?
A lot.
Do you have any favorite projects you worked on?
Well, the ones that I actually did and finished. Oh my God, I had so many damn ideas. Trying not to curse too much on live. I wanted to make signs for all of the shrines. I wanted to make staves and spears, and I wanted to outfit the gods. The projects that I kept and ended up finishing was I designed my hammer, which means I went and found a hammer that wasn't modern. So it was just a wooden handle and a metal head. And then I carved Hephaestus' name into it in Greek. Not quite as nice as that one. And then was it the 33rd? Is that why it was the milestone? I can't remember. That happened to be the year that it was a milestone, so I wanted to do something for the auction to commemorate it. And so I acquired a piece and made a plaque that displayed one of every god's tokens from that year, from their shrines, as well as, on request, provided tokens also from the 3 vessels of Fortuna at the time, as well as the Graces. I think that's all I did on that plaque. There was other ones, but we didn't go forward with that. Yeah. So that plaque, along with my hammer, went up for auction that day.
That is awesome. And Bill, how about you? Do you have any projects in the works?
I've got about 6 pet projects going right now. One is he wants me to do spoons. I have the food pantry that's near and dear to my heart when I'm not the vessel. And he says, you're gonna do spoons while you're in Vote. And what the spoons are is they're metal spoons that I take and hand stamp words on them and then sell them as a fundraiser for the pantry. That's one of my big pet projects, and the goal is there's 7 spoons in the set. I will have a set of spoons done and put them up for auction. As I'm going to do them while I'm in Vote, so that they have a little more power to them.
That is wonderful. Oh my goodness.
And of course, he wants me to grow the pantry. He wants me to build more. He wants me to do more. And it's a lot of work. It's a labor of love, but it's so worth it. It's a lot of work.
So Bill created the pagan. It's basically a pagan food bank. It's out in Lansing, Michigan.
I didn't create it. I inherited it.
Oh, he inherited it. Well, he inherited it and and he has taken off running, and he affiliated with the ATC, and we're helping him out. So if you see things about pagans in need, that's all Bill. He's awesome. That is great. Okay, so here's a great question that I love and I can't wait to ask. Do you all aim to marry Aphrodite?
Nope.
Daryl does?
Actually, considering the vessel the year that I was Hephaestus was my wife.
Well, that worked out well.
Yeah. And yeah. But not every year. Just that year.
Just that year. Other men in here, would you marry Aphrodite?
Yes.
I'm torn. It's a toss-up between yes, because I would never wish to insult her in any way, shape, or form. However, I truly subscribe more to the later myth where he marries Aglaia, because they complement each other more for each other.
Ah. And I'm going to circle back around to that. Bill.
I don't desire to marry Aphrodite. She's beautiful, but not for me. I do subscribe to the Aglaia as well, because of the relationship is better there. And actually, personally, I think it would have been a better match with Hephaestus and Hestia, but that's me.
Well, you making wooden spoons or metal spoons for everyone, I would think so.
I did make wooden spoons, actually.
There you go. Okay, so we actually had a question come up that says, oh, good old Michelle. I'm aware of Hephaestus making gifts for Aphrodite. Do we know of any objects he made for Aglaia? So, Nico, would you like to tell the story of Aglaia and Hephaestus, if there's, what the background is behind there?
No, because I didn't focus as much on the myth as more so as the energy and the visualization that I have. I was traumatized by a certain priest of Zeus my year, because the vessel of Aglaia that year is his current wife, and he tried to hook me up with his wife. But that's a whole nother story. Whenever I think about Hephaestus and marriage, it's like there's nothing to say that he and Aphrodite weren't happy, but it's more so that Hephaestus needed someone that complemented and contrasted him in the same way. And where I come to that is, I always imagine Hephaestus is out in his workshop doing building making as he does. He comes into the homestead after the fact. For those of you who aren't as familiar, Aglaia is one of the graces and is her focus is etiquette and order. And so when he walks into the homestead, everything is in the place that it is supposed to be. Everything is neat. Everything is as it should be. There's food being prepared. There's no sign of disorder. And all Aglaia does when she looks up and sees him is, you better wipe your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that feeling of, oh my God, you're perfect. Every time.
That's awesome. Does anyone else have things they want to add about Aglaia and Hephaestus?
Aglaia is that genuine connection. The goddess of love is grand and everything, but she is so many things to so many people. And the grace of etiquette and manners and protocol to the individual who crafts and works to make everything better, it just really works well. They complement each other so well.
That is so sweet. Okay. Anything else to add from our other Hephaesti? Made that up. Which isn't even right because that's Latin and we're talking Greek. Okay, so.
For the record,
Okay,
I miss Hephaestus at all times, so you're good.
Okay, good. So a next question we have here. In one sentence, how would you describe Hephaestus?
One sentence?
One sentence. You got it, Bill?
Do it right the first time.
I love that.
See.
Measured twice, cut once.
That's a tough question for me to put into one sentence.
The only thing I can come up with is something that I say when I'm thanked for the things that I do for specifically my community, because it's just always on the tip of my tongue every time it's said. And it's that I serve at the pleasure of my community.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because a lot of times, especially when it's more tedious things, I get a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. Thank you so much. And it really is like a labor of love when you can do and make for someone and they truly appreciate not only the product, but the time and dedication that goes into it.
Absolutely.
And along that lines, the sentence that popped into my head is, I make to beautify the world.
That is wonderful. Thank you. All right. So Michelle asks, do you see any truth in the idea of Hephaestus as Aphrodite's submissive, a beautiful relationship for the time?
Nope.
Solid no? Care to elaborate?
He is hardworking, dedicated. He loves Aphrodite. He understands he can't be all things to Aphrodite. It doesn't make him a cuckold or a submissive.
Exactly.
I would not disagree, but state in the sense that I don't think I believe in the vein of the question being asked, I don't think he is opposed to doing something that would please her in that particular act of love. But one of the things that I said very much, or very many times when I was Hephaestus, because the question was asked a lot about the relationship between Aphrodite and Hephaestus and Ares, is that once he learned the lesson that he needed to about himself, Hephaestus had no problems with Aphrodite, because Aphrodite what she is, which is a goddess of love, passion, and all things therein. And he would never expect her to change that. But it was also the important fact of no matter where she was or what she was doing or who she was doing and what she was doing with those people, she always came home to Hephaestus. And that was never a question or never a worry about it.
Sean, do you want to add something? Yeah, just agreeing.
I was just agreeing with them.
Yep.
The year I held Hephaestus, the priest of Ares was a member of our community. And during the Saturday night festivities, when we're all, dancing and having fun, Hephaestus and Ares had their arms interlocked and they were on their knees dancing around Aphrodite, who was dancing between them, as a proper, healthy poly relationship.
That is awesome. Yes. And you're welcome, Michelle. It's a good question that I'm sure a lot of people have on their mind,
Yep.
I can tell you, I don't want to go too much into it because Aphrodite is next week, but I can tell you that Aphrodite loves the beautiful things Hephaestus makes. She loves his sense of beauty. She knows that he sees beauty and she sees beauty. And so she sees that beauty within him and she loves him. So, and she wants him to do whatever makes him happy. Doesn't care. So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. All right. Okay. Next question for Hephaestus priests. What kind of activities can you do to worship Hephaestus?
Make things.
Make things, create things.
One of the stigmas that I wanted to break the year I was Hephaestus was that he is a god of blacksmiths, and that is it. He is always seen as the blacksmith. And that is a very specific niche in the subject that he governs, which is creation. He is a god of creation. One of the things that, and I intended this pun completely, one of the things that I wanted to hammer in was that whatever you make, if it is made by your hand, whether it's whittling, whether it's painting, whether it's knitting, whether it's done completely with your hand tools or with modern technology, if you put your passion and your all and your energy into what you make, you are doing by him honor and justice. That is his domain and his energy. If you've ever bought something handmade and you felt that energy in it, that is the spark. That is the flame that Hephaestus shares with everyone and everything that creates and is created.
Awesome. Thank you, Nico. Daryl, you had something to add?
Hephaestus, in modern parlance, is the god of industry. He is constantly developing things that improves the gods' lives. So, spears, thrones, whatever it might be, because there's always a lesson with all of them.
Unless he traps his mother in the throne.
Yeah.
Bill, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, I can say tonight was full moon ritual for my personal coven, and we traded 3 things tonight, and he was there all about it, like, let me help you. What do you need? It was amazing because we did 3 different things. The one thing that I can talk about is something that I created. I created Florida water because I have a need for it, so I created it. I've got 2 batches sitting for the next 29 days, and he's all like, hurry up. I want to try this. I want to see how it works. Come on, let's go. He's very excited about it. And the other 2 things he was very excited about being a part of and putting that energy into it and putting that, it's not even just the energy, it's the love. You have to love what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, find a different craft, find a different project, find something that speaks to your heartstrings, and then go for it and do it. Like I said, that do it right the first time. Don't screw around. Find out what needs to be done and do it right the first time. And he'll be there. He's got my back all the time. Now that I'm working with him, it's a great feeling. I can see great things coming because there's lots of work that needs to be done around my house, and it's probably going to happen this year because, yeah, why not?
Well, and even to build on that is if you find you are doing a craft that you don't find joy in, analyze why you're doing that craft. If you're just pumping out stuff so that you can sell it and make money, you are not going to create the best possible thing because it's non it's I guess it's work without thought, I guess, is the term I'm going with.
There's no passion in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might not even be that there's no passion, and it's just your basis for doing so is muddled by something that doesn't give life to the creation. Like, if you're doing something just to meet the demand of other people will find somewhere else to buy something because there will always be demand. But you are the one who makes the conscious decision to put your energy into what you make.
Definitely. Sean, did you want to add something?
Not really, because everything that was running through my head has already been said.
Oh, that hive mind.
Uh-huh.
All right. Oh, I love this question. Daryl, did you want to say something?
Another thing, if you don't feel that you can craft things and you want to honor Hephaestus, do not sit there and try to talk a craftsperson down on pricing. Pay what they ask. There is a reason for it. They put a lot of thought into it. And if you think they're not charging enough, go ahead and pay them more.
Yep.
Good stuff. Thank you, Daryl. Do you think Hephaestus and Athena work together a lot through their oversight of craftspeople? I'm going to start with Bill.
Absolutely. Just because Hephaestus is the blacksmith crafter and does other things too, it doesn't hurt to have a cohort to help you oversee things. Can't be there all the time, but can share the responsibility. And I think it's working with Athena is great because Athena's got some great ideas too, and may have a different way to do something and may make it better than what Hephaestus thought he could do it. There's nothing wrong with collaborating and making more hands, lighter work.
Yep. Nico, did you want to say something?
Well, anytime someone brings up Athena and Hephaestus, like I have to grab the bridge of my nose because of the the one particular myth that involves the both of them, where he pursued Athena a little too much. But it's funny, there was one instance where someone, I guess, challenged my definition of Hephaestus being a god of crafters, because their argument was, well, Athena has the weavers. And my response was, yes, Athena has the weavers, and Hephaestus also has the weavers. He doesn't, it's not a matter of I have this and you don't. It's a matter of weaving happens to be something that, children of Athena do, and people who are, priesthood of Athena do. But it's also something that Hephaestus does. Just because you're, in the military doesn't mean you have to pick Ares or Athena. Just because you handle matters of court or matters of business doesn't mean you have to pick between Athena or Hera. It's a matter of they collaborate well together. And Bill said it perfectly. There's nothing wrong with collaboration, because you will never always have the best version of your ideas. There will always become a point where someone says something, you're like, oh my God, that's so much better than what I thought.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Daryl?
Athena has her plans, her ideas. Hephaestus is action, implementation. And when it comes to the weavers, she handed that over to Arachne.
Sean, do you have anything you want to add?
I think Hephaestus and Athena work really well together. When I held Hephaestus, I talked with them both, because I knew that Hephaestus didn't have all the ideas.
Yep.
They shared them equally. And I got ideas for my projects from both voices in my head talking it out.
That is awesome. As the votary of the Temple of Athena, Athena just told me, who do you think is building my cities? So they clearly get along great.
Has hammer will travel.
Yeah, Daryl?
There's another small part to this. Hephaestus is born of Hera exclusively. Athena is born of Zeus exclusively. So what they're missing in their parental relationship through who they are, they complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Whoa.
Brenna, I think this is why you and I keep psychicking each other.
You think?
That is good stuff, Daryl. Thank you for sharing that. So our next question, we answered it a little bit, but let's go ahead and answer this one again. So we know he is a god of blacksmith crafts. What else is he known for that doesn't come up much? Okay, these blank faces are... So he's not the god of much else, apparently. So he's the god of creation, right?
I mean, that covers a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the way that I versed it, and it kind of got turned into a line when I was Hephaestus that year which was, all who make with their hands are my children. He is creation. He is that spark of an idea. He's that light bulb going off in your head. He is the learning of a new tool, the learning of a new trade, and he is the deepest level of satisfaction when you sit back and look at the thing that you have finished and have finally come to the point where you would look at it and say, there's nothing else I can do to it that would make it any better than it is right now.
Well, and I can say too,
Bill.
what else is he known for that doesn't come out much? I run the food pantry, and he's all about the damn garden. He wants me to get the gardens in, and he wants them bigger, and he wants this, and he wants that, and he wants it done right. He doesn't want it half
Baked.
half baked. We'll put it that way. He wants it done completely, and he wants me to get a hold of Gerald's wife and talk to her and see what we can do to make the gardens better down here so that we can feed more people. And he's all about that too. And it's not, he's creating food. He's not creating crafts, but he's creating something, and that makes him happy. It doesn't have to be trinkets. It doesn't have to be woodworking. It doesn't have to be leather stuff. It doesn't have to be any of that. He's creating something. He's creating a community. He's creating food. He's creating sustenance. He's creating stability for people. That's all important to him. It's not about creating tangible things. Some of those things are intangible. Community is an intangible thing, but it's still there.
Well, and like I said, he's creating life. I touched on it a little bit before. It's that thing when you buy something that's handmade and you feel that spark of energy that's in it. That is life. It is the soul of that piece. Like, I know, well, I can't say that. Never mind. I don't have a better way of explaining it other than he's a creator. He's a god of creation.
Yep.
He also likes it when I do cross stitch because it's something. It's not typically something he would do, but he's happy in creating something. I'm doing something.
If there's anything else that could be said about him, he is a god of salt. He is a god of having an issue, doing something about it, and then learning from the experience, whether it was his fault or not. Particularly with his mother. One of my favorite things about holding Hephaestus was the banter and the fun that I had with the priestess of Hera that year. We'd come into rehearsal and she'd come, and the first time I saw her, it was like, hey son, how was your flight? I was like, not bad, Mom. How was your chair? For those of you without the myth, Hera threw him off a mountain, and Hephaestus created a throne that she was stuck in because he has salt.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with, I talked about this on the panel with Ares. He discovered Ares and Aphrodite were sleeping together, and so he threw a net on them to try to prove a point. And the point he proved was he needed to chill out, and he learned that lesson. And he learned the lesson with Hera.
Well, that leads really well into our next question. In your experience, what is the relationship between Hephaestus and his mama, Hera? I feel that the myths don't do their actual relationship justice.
Salt. No, so
like heaping piles of salt.
Yeah. But no, and that's actually a decently common thing with Hephaestus is something will happen where there's a conflict that is resolved, but more often than not, the conflict is within Hephaestus, not with the other person per se. He felt wronged by Aphrodite sleeping with somebody else, when in fact, he needed to learn that Aphrodite is who she is, and he would never change that. He had an issue with his mother because she threw him off a mountain. But if she had not thrown him off the mountain, he would never have landed in Etna and begun smithing things with the Cyclopes. Like everything has a reason for being. And once that resolution happens, things are much, the things are much chiller. Like I said, me and the priestess, I think it was Liz was Hera that year. Me and Liz would just, all the jokes, all like salt and shade and all the jokes, to the point that someone was even like, that's the queen of the gods. You need to show her respect. And we both looked at the person, looked at each other, and we're like, what are you talking about? We're having fun.
Yeah.
But that's their love language.
Phil?
I see the relationship between, in my experience, between Hephaestus and Mother Hera, that of a child that can't stand their mother figure when they're a child, but when they become an adult, they have that really good friendship, and they're their best friend. They talk all the time. They share ideas. They are in constant contact and communication with each other, but have a healthy relationship because of the stuff that happened in the past that they've grown from. They've learned, again, like Mika was saying, they've learned that lesson, and those lessons, we're grateful for all of life's lessons, especially those uncomfortable ones. And yeah, that was probably uncomfortable when he got yeeted off the mountain. I'd say that, but
more so the landing.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop at the end, get you every time. But to grow from that situation to have a really good relationship is amazing. Trust me, I've done it in my personal life with my mother. My mother and I didn't get along. Kind of had that rocky relationship when I was growing up. I was that angsty teenager. Now we are really good friends, and if I don't call her once a week, she's calling me to make sure I'm alive and I'm okay, because it's that relationship. And I could see that with Hera and Hephaestus, that type of relationship where they're more like friends than mother or son.
I love that. Daryl, you want to add something?
This is just, processing in my head, so hopefully it comes out clear. The relationship between Hera and Hephaestus is a prime example of all single-parent households. So those that had those rocky, rough, times coming up and getting to adulthood, most often males raised by single mothers have, they're usually gar, but when they get older, it's like, you always had my best interests at heart. I'm an idiot. While you look at Zeus and Athena, I must make father proud. Because that happens in the masculine single parent household. And then they get to a point where they're like, really? And then they come back around like, okay.
Yeah. Sean, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
They're saying it all. Huh?
We got to start with Sean.
Yeah. Start with Sean. I know. These other guys are too excited for things. All right. Let's see. Where are we? 7:41. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, I love this one. Okay. What kind of blessings could you ask for from Hephaestus? Sean.
Creativity.
Yup.
The drive to enjoy the work you're doing.
Love that.
Let's see.
Let's get some answers from the other priests.
Yeah.
Bill?
Patience and fortitude to finish the job.
Nice.
Let's face it, we're in a day and age where we see all the bright and shinies and we stop what we're doing because we want to go do something else. You have that squirrel brain. To ask him for that patience and that guidance and the fortitude to stick with a project until it's through and done is very important, and that would be a blessing that he would definitely bestow upon you.
Mm-hmm. Daryl?
To know when to stop a project when it is done, and that you don't need to add more to it. And that you take care of yourself, take care of your hands, take care of your eyes, take care of your back, because those are the things that wear the most when it comes to crafting.
Nico?
The patience with yourself to know when it is time to brainstorm a project, when it is time to conceptualize that project into a physical form, when it is time to begin working on that project, when it is time to accept that it has reached the form with which it must stay in, and all throughout that, understanding your personal limits and boundaries and the necessity to take care of yourself so that your craft doesn't suffer.
Great one. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I want to make sure we have enough time to do this one. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Is there a piece of wisdom that you gained from working with Hephaestus, that Hephaestus told you, that you would like to share with those watching? And whoever wants to go first, just... Look at them all.
If you've got
If
you've got a project in mind, whatever it is, do it. Don't think about it, just do it.
That was the last panel.
It's also
You're not
this one.
You're not wrong. It's being fun.
It's that whole Aries Hephaestus overlap.
Do it. Who wants to go next?
I have two.
Go for it.
If you are a tradesperson of any kind and you've discovered that when you wake up in the morning, your first thought isn't, what am I going to make today? The drive to finish your daily tasks and things that are required so that you can get to the thing that brings you passion. If the flame in your core has dwindled down to embers in making this thing, doing this thing, evaluate why you began that trade, why it fulfilled you, how it sustained you, how it brought you joy and filled you with happiness and I can't think of the word. Just how it sustained you and filled you up as you did it, as you completed it, beginning, middle, and end being just as fulfilling. Because it is, in my opinion, it is more important that the craftsman gain fulfillment in the creation of the craft than it is the people who are demanding the craft be fulfilled by its creation. That's number one. Number two, which is, in my opinion, also just as important, there is nothing wrong with putting a project on the shelf if you have reached a point where continuing it both will not fulfill you and is being done because you feel obligated to, not because you want to. It is not a bad thing to have partially written stories, partially made crafts of wood, partially conceptualized projects, because you are taking the time that it requires to create a whole thing, idea, project, whatever. You're giving it the respect and the time it requires to be complete and not done because you have to. Because I have to is quite often the biggest detriment to any project.
Mm-hmm.
So never feel guilty for having unfinished projects if you are still passionate in completing that project when it is time to do so.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Nico. Daryl, and then we'll leave off with our wonderful vessel.
I went way overboard. I built all these things. I had Nico and my clergyman in the shop with me, just pumping stuff out. And once that festival was over, I didn't make another thing. Even through Spring Mysteries. Nope, not making anything. It's like, you got all this work done here. If they need anything else, they should have gotten a hold of you sooner. We don't do things on rush order. But
you did make one thing.
Oh yeah, but I won't talk about that. That has to be witnessed. But the thing is, it gave him time to focus on the other mysteries, the interconnectedness between him, the other deities, and the world. Because one of the things that's truly heartbreaking is when an item is given to the temple and you're told it's the last piece made by that person. And you take that piece in, and it is the most holy of holies to him. And yeah. So.
That's a powerful experience. Man. Thank you for sharing that, Daryl. Bill?
His biggest lesson he's taught me is to know my limits and know myself. Know what I'm doing in the world is important. I may not see the effects, but they're there. And that I need to make sure that I am taking time to fill my cup, because I can't pour or create from an empty one. And that's been a really, really, really hard lesson for me personally. So him reinforcing it and beating it with a hammer really helps. Yeah, quite often.
That is wonderful. All right, so I would like to thank the Temple of Hephaestus for their time tonight and meeting up with us and sharing their stories and all of the wonderful things they had to tell us. If you want to learn more about the Temple of Hephaestus, feel free to either find them on Facebook, just search for Temple of Hephaestus, and then you can also find them on our website at www.atcwicca.org/temple-of-Hephaestus. You can also learn more at www.springmysteries.com about the deities. Remember, we are just less than a month away from Spring Mysteries starting. Woo! So make sure you get your registrations in sooner rather than later. We will be back next week with Aphrodite and Balbo. That's going to be a hoot. I am very excited. So thank you, all of you for joining us tonight, for asking your questions, for witnessing these beautiful panels and these stories these people are sharing. And I cannot wait to see you next week. Blessed be.